Fox 35 Storm Team meteorologist Brooks Garner joins me now. And Brooks, we're kind of locked in this pattern right now with this heat and humidity and some storm chances out there.
We sure are. It's that classic July setup here in Central Florida. A look at the beach right now. There's not much in the way of waves, but there is still a moderate risk for rip currents with a 2 to 3 foot swell and temperatures rapidly warming from the mid 80s to highs close to 90 on the water. We've got a water temperature right now of 81 degrees, a moderate risk for rip currents. Overall, pretty decent beach day, but make sure after 4 o'clock you keep a very close eye to the horizon for developing clouds and thunderstorms because we do have a chance, especially after 5 p.m. at the beach. 94 will be the high today in Orlando, 93 in Bushnell. A hot day with a feels-like temperature of about 105 to 107 degrees, just below heat advisory criteria, so take it easy, you know the drill. Well, today we've got a lower chance for rain than what we saw yesterday. There will still be some isolated heavy thunderstorms with the possibility of damaging wind gusts as well as lightning. A lot of lightning like we saw yesterday. So much lightning yesterday. We may see a repeat performance today. That's thanks in part to a little bit of dry air in the mid-levels of the atmosphere. But the highest storm chance will be east of I-4 to include Seminole, Orange.
Florida Live starts now.
Good afternoon to you and welcome into Florida Live. I'm Garrett Weimer and thanks for joining us on this Thursday afternoon live on Fox Local and on YouTube. I want to let you know some of what we have coming up ahead of us here on this next hour together at Florida Live. I've got a couple of space stories in this hour. In fact, expecting any minute now to hear from some of the NASA astronauts, a Japanese astronaut and a Russian cosmonaut speaking ahead of the Crew-11 launch scheduled for later this month. They will be beginning a news conference at Kennedy Space Center coming up in just a little bit. We'll also have a live interview scheduled for later this hour with the Kennedy Space Center visitor complex, where they have a new attraction, a new way to watch launches there. So a lot of exciting things happening along Florida's Space Coast, and we'll talk more about that coming up a little bit later in the show. We are also going to hear from a couple of Central Florida U.S. representatives who were back home today and making a couple of different stops, talking about concerns with Medicaid cuts and a number of other things when it comes to Trump's big, beautiful bill that has been passed, signed into law. So learning more about that, we'll hear some of their concerns in a little bit. We are also hearing from lawmakers as concerns grow over Alligator Alcatraz. So some Democratic lawmakers say they are unhappy with the lack of answers, not just about Alligator Alcatraz, but when it comes to ICE detention here in the state of Florida. I talked earlier with State Representative Anna Eskamani. She, alongside State Senator Guillermo Smith, visited an Orlando ICE office today. And this comes just 1 week after a group of Democratic state lawmakers was denied entry at Alligator Alcatraz, the new ICE detention facility down in the Everglades. They say they are concerned about the conditions there. We also learned this week that Democratic members of Congress say they had planned an unannounced visit for that facility coming up this weekend on Saturday. It appears that the state had learned of those plans, according to those lawmakers, and is now offering guided tours to those federal and state lawmakers. So just a few minutes ago, I sat down with State Representative Anna Eskamani to talk about her concerns about this, what she wants to see, and some of the answers that she and other lawmakers are looking for.
Myself and other members of the Florida legislature have been on an oversight mission. We're getting reports from constituents whose loved ones have been detained with no due process. There's been confusion over the 72-hour ICE hold period at the local county jail. And of course, we have loved ones that are being sent to the Everglades detention facility with no clear way to get in touch with them as lawyers. Some of these folks have court appointments. They are DACA. They have status, should not be detained. And there's just a lack of clarity on where to go and what to do when these situations happen. So myself and Senator Guillermo Smith went to the ICE office in Orlando this morning seeking some clarity on these points. Unfortunately, after waiting about 45 minutes to talk to someone, we were instead given a sheet of paper to send an email to get permission to talk to someone. So it was very frustrating. We did not get the type of clarity we were looking for. And of course, our oversight mission will continue.
Well, and that's the second time in a week now that you've kind of haven't gotten the answers quite that you were looking for. Talk to us about your visit to Alligator Alcatraz.
Yes, it has been a very frustrating experience, needless to say. Last week, myself and four other members of the Florida legislature went down to the Everglades to exercise our statutory authority and really just our civic responsibility of the taxpayer to go to the Everglades detention facility and to ask for access to be able to go in this facility and to talk to the workers to see what their work environments are like, what their living situations are like, to talk to the detainees, to learn more about what their humanitarian experiences are, and of course to look at the facility. We've already seen images of flooding. We've seen reports of lack of running water, of individuals not being fed, not being given medical attention, of lawyers not being able to contact their clients. So we came to the detention center and were told we could not move forward. We could not access the facility. And after going back and forth with the Florida Department of Emergency Management, we were told that it was a safety concern that would keep us out. And of course, when they told us that, we responded with, well, if it's unsafe for us to visit, how is it safe for individuals to be detained there? And so we were ultimately turned away and are now, of course, exploring litigation to ensure that we have the ability to visit these sites unannounced. Since then, the Florida Department of Emergency Management has announced a scheduled visit this Saturday, which, of course, we're pleased to see the public pressure working to have a scheduled visit, but it's not the same as an unannounced visit. So we are going to keep pushing on that point.
A spokesperson for the Florida Division of Emergency Management called your visit to Alligator Alcatraz political theater. How do you respond to that?
It's a lot of projection. This is the same department, the same state leaders who are selling merchandise to promote this detention center and are giving contracts, no big contracts to their friends who then cut political contributions to the governor and the attorney general and the Republican Party of Florida. And so there's nothing political. There's definitely no spectacle to practice oversight. That is our job as state lawmakers. This facility is going to cost more than $450 million and was built in less than a week. What bothers me is if we could spend that money on housing affordability, on addressing food insecurity, on helping to ensure that we have public transportation in our neighborhoods. There's so many other better uses of that money. So for me, it's not about politics, it's about good government and being responsible to the taxpayer.
You also visited the Orange County Jail. What did you learn there?
Well, I visited the Orange County Jail many times, and I've of course have visited state prisons many times because, again, as a state lawmaker, it is not only my statutory authority to do so, but it's my responsibility to do so, to make sure that these facilities are following the law, that correctional officers are supported, and that, of course, basic humanitarian needs are being met for those who are detained. And so we went to the Orange County Jail to meet with the chief. To learn more about the environment on the ground, as our jail is in a contract with ICE as it pertains to detainment. We are losing money on this agreement. We're not getting reimbursed to the amount that would cover the full cost of what it takes to detain an individual. But while we were there, we saw where immigrants who are with no criminal backgrounds, but they have an unregulated status with immigration. We went to see where they're being detained, and we were able to actually speak to these individuals. And of course, learned quickly that not only are these folks who don't have criminal charges, but they are construction workers, plumbers, roofers, their dads, brothers, uncles, cousins. They, in some cases, have lived in Florida for decades, and of course are in a very struggling environment in the sense that they're unable to know what comes next. And individuals from the Orange County Jail have already been taken to the Everglades Detention Center And there's just so much confusion on why, on who, and of course on what the process is to seek legal counsel. I think one of the biggest takeaways for me on that visit was how much our immigration system, like so many of our systems, are based on money, because every person that we spoke to did not have the resources to hire an attorney. And so when you look at who ends up in that situation compared to who avoids it, it's clear that financial support is a pretty clear indicator.
Will you be going on that tour this weekend in Alligator Alcatraz?
I plan to. We're actively moving calendar events right now. As you can imagine, my calendar for this weekend is booked up with local events and activities. So we are trying to see what we can turn to virtual, what we can move around, so I don't lose my presence in the community on Saturday. But I do think for our constituents, they are pushing us to go on this visit. Of course, I am concerned about the fact that it gives power to the state to really curate and sanitize a tour. And for me, this is not a field trip. This is really about oversight. And so that's why we have to keep pushing on the power of the legislature as a co-equal branch of government to exercise our oversight abilities to make these visits unannounced.
What do you want to see from that visit on Saturday?
Well, I've asked the department a few questions I'm still waiting for clarity on, including, are we allowed to record and film in the facility? Will we be able to speak to detainees? Will press be invited to join us? Will there be a way to ensure that attorneys can access their clients? And I'm waiting for a response on those questions. But my goal really is to be able to go to every corner of this facility and to talk to those who work in the facility. There's already videos popping up on social media of individuals that have since quit or were fired who worked at this detention facility and are expressing concerns with the working conditions. And of course, we want to be able to talk to detainees and identify folks who've been flagged by local community members as having status of being DACA, of not having any type of criminal background, of having a pending court appointment. So we want to do our best to also support those that are caught in this political environment, that have no reason to be detained, but because of not having a driver's license on them, or because of there being confusion of their status or not having legal representation, they're ending up in this environment.
So that was our conversation with Anna Eskamani just a little bit ago, as she talked about some of the concerns that she has and some of the answers that she is looking for when it comes to Alligator Alcatraz and the other ICE detention facilities across the state of Florida. We're going to take a quick break here on Florida Live, but we will be right back after this. Welcome back into Florida Live. I'm Garrett Weimer, and thanks for joining us on this Thursday afternoon, live on Fox Local and on YouTube. It is time now for our Tampa Connection, and for that we go to Fox 13 digital producer Nancy Gay. And Nancy, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Garrett. Today we're going to start in Polk County, where Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd held one of his famous press conferences about an hour ago to talk about two teenagers. We're talking about a 14-year-old as well as a 15-year-old from the Northeast who have been arrested in connection with two swatting incidents that happened last month in Polk County. Now, these teens, the 14-year-old is from New York and the 15-year-old is from Connecticut. Both of them have been extradited to Polk County to face charges. And for those who don't know, swatting is the intentional false reporting of a violent incident in an attempt to get an emergency response from a law enforcement agency. Now, during this press conference, Sheriff Judd said that the incidents actually began with the 14-year-old and 15-year-old suspects playing an online video game with a 12-year-old boy in Poinciana. Sheriff Judd said some type of argument took place, and one of the suspects called law enforcement and said there was a shooting. Shots were being fired near the 12-year-old's home. Law enforcement responded, but when they got there, they realized it was a fake call. They talked with the 12-year-old, they talked with his parents, and they told his parents to take away the video games. They said that, yes, the 12-year-old was a victim in this swatting incident, but he is arguing with people online, so law enforcement officers recommended the parents take away the games. However, the next day, another call came into law enforcement saying that the caller was a man saying that he had gotten into an argument with his wife because she refused to cook him dinner, and then she lit his clothes on fire, so he decided to kill her and his kids. Now, law enforcement officers felt that this call was fake, but they responded to the Poinciana home, and they found out that that same 12-year-old was playing online video games once again with the suspects. Now, this time investigators said the parents did take away his video games, so he was no longer able to communicate online. Now, Judd said that at one point the 12-year-old was actually friends with these two suspects, so it wasn't too difficult to track them down. But he did say that a lot of swatting calls are made from overseas or from spoofed phone numbers, which makes it difficult sometimes to track them down. Now, on July 1st, an anti-swatting law did go into effect in the state of Florida. It requires payment of restitution.
To a call of what sounds like a very serious situation, all bets are off. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, for sure. And that is one of the things that Sheriff Judd talked about. He said that these false calls, which come in about once a week to the Polk County Sheriff's Office, put a lot of people in danger. He said that often these calls come in late at night or very early in the morning. So people are oftentimes asleep inside their homes when law enforcement and first responders show up. So that can be very jarring for a homeowner. But it also puts law enforcement as well as first responders at risk. Judd did mention an incident where there was a false one of these swatting calls, and as first responders were responding to it, they were involved in a vehicle crash. So these fake calls do a lot of harm, and they do put a lot of people at risk.
And pull resources that might be needed elsewhere. Just a lot of different factors there. So glad they were able to track these teenagers down. Nancy, our second story today, and there's been a lot of talk about the emergency alerts and warning notifications when it comes to natural disasters and that kind of thing, obviously in the aftermath of what happened in Texas, and officials in the Bay Area there wanted to make sure folks are able to stay aware and get those alerts.
Yes, that's right. Emergency officials across the Bay Area are really urging residents to sign up for these emergency alerts. As you mentioned, this does come in the wake of the deadly flash flooding in Texas that claimed more than 100 lives. Now, many of the surviving victims said that they were caught off guard by these flash floods. So Tampa's emergency service director said that these alerts are usually the first notice that the public receives about a dangerous situation. And he wants everyone to keep in mind that these alerts are not just for hurricanes. Officials stress that human-caused hazards can happen at any time, and being in the know can save lives. Now, Florida provides funding to local governments to operate their alert systems, which can geo-target messages that lead to more accurate and timely warnings. However, in Pinellas County, only about 116,000 people are currently signed up, which is leaving hundreds of thousands potentially in the dark during an emergency. Now, to register for these alerts, all you have to do is go to your county and city websites. They often have a little link right there where you can just fill out your information and sign you up, or you can log on to fox13news.com or the Fox Local app and click on the story that we have up about these emergency alerts, and we do have a link in there. Garrett?
Yes, certainly important to be in the know for so many different kinds of reasons. Like you said, not just hurricanes, but whatever the case might be, that getting those alerts can certainly be handy and helpful and potentially even life-saving.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I mentioned, a lot of the people who survived those flash floods in Texas did say that they simply didn't know. So hopefully having this alert system will be able to let people know of these dangers, so they are able to seek higher ground or at least get to safety.
And finally here, Nancy, it's start of a big time of year in Pasco County.
Yes, that's right. We talked here a few weeks ago on Florida Live about scallop season starting. Now, it's broken up into different segments across the state, mainly on the Gulf Coast, obviously in the Gulf Coast. But Pasco County scallop season does begin today. Now, this is particularly special because last year Pasco scallop season was put on hold for more than a month because of toxins in the water that are caused from algae blooms. Now, those toxins can build up in shellfish and can make humans sick if they eat contaminated scallops. Now, the Florida Fish and Wildlife Commission does regularly take water samples looking for toxins that tend to be in bloom in Florida coastal waters during the summer months. Now, last year, it was a huge blow to the Pasco economy, and everybody who lost business is hoping that no toxins will appear this scallop season. Now, it is important to note that scallopers do need a Florida saltwater fishing license to harvest bay scallops recreationally. However, there are some exceptions, and those who do not need a license include those who are wading from the shore to collect scallops, which that means that your feet do not touch the bottom to swim, snorkel, or scuba, and they don't use a boat to get to or return to a harvest spot. Again, if you are going out with a charter, that charter often has a fishing license and you do not need an individual one. But if you are looking for one of those licenses, a license can be bought on GoOutdoorsFlorida.com. That's the Florida website, Go Outdoors Florida, or by calling 888-FISH Florida. Pasco scallop season runs through August 18th. Garrett?
All right, good stuff there. Fox 13, Nancy Gay, we appreciate you joining us for our Tampa Connection.
Thank you.
We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. Welcome back into Florida Live. Garrett Weimer here. Thanks for joining us on Fox Local and on YouTube. Want to get you inside this news conference going on live at the Kennedy Space Center right now, where we're hearing from the crew of the upcoming Crew-11, the 11th rotation mission of SpaceX's human space transportation system. They'll be going to the International Space Station. That launch scheduled for no earlier than July 31st. Hearing from some the crew members there that you see, including two NASA astronauts, Commander Zena Cardman and Mike Fink. Let's go ahead and listen in as this news conference continues live from Florida Space Coast.
Starliner for quite some time. You've thrown Shuttle, you've thrown Soyuz, Camilla, you've thrown Soyuz. Are there any interesting differences that you two have noticed with the training for Crew-11 aboard Dragon? Thank you.
So do you want to start and I can finish?
Please.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Dragon, it's my fourth spacecraft, if you don't count the space station, to learn how to fly. And SpaceX has done a great job. The differences, every spacecraft is different. My first one to learn to fly really was Soyuz, so then Shuttle, but Starliner too. But Dragon is unique and different. The control interface for the commander and pilot is touchscreen. We have a lot of insight, and I was very happy to see how much situational awareness we can build as flyers. It's a very automated and automatic spacecraft, so we can see the things happening. We don't have as much, control sticks to fly, but we have a manual flying capability. So I'm really excited I was really extremely excited to be put on a Dragon crew and learn how to fly from Xena and our instructors at SpaceX. We're grateful to Paul and the rest of the team for teaching us, and boy, I really I can't wait to fly in Dragon.
Yeah. Actually, Mike-san explained a lot, and actually quite different, of course, Soyuz and also SpaceX, Crew Dragon. But I like both, actually, both good. Concept is different, but both good. So I really want to fly. I mean, looking forward to fly with Crew Dragon, but also want to fly with Soyuz again. So both good.
We'll take another question on our phone bridge. Let's go back to Marcia Dunn with the Associated Press. Marcia, do we have you this time?
Yes, hi. Sorry about that. I hit the wrong button on the phone. Two of you had your lives disrupted and put on hold because of the Starliner trouble. Xena and Mike, how difficult was it to deal with all of that? And how much commotion did it cause, not just for you, but for the entire astronaut corps?
Yeah, that's a great question. From my perspective, if I think about it only as an individual and how it affected me, yes, of course, it was an unexpected change, but spaceflight is not about me or about any individual. It's about what we can do together. None of us can do this by ourselves. I had many hopes for Crew-9, but my only promise was to do everything in my control for a safe splashdown of Crew-9, and we did that together. That is the most important thing. And now I have the opportunity to train with this wonderful, amazing crew. Life is a journey. It takes many turns, and I'm just grateful to be here.
And yeah, we were very surprised and we were joyed when we got Starliner up into space, and our friends Butch and Sunny docking to the space station, and then things changed. I had already been training for Starliner 1 with Kimya-san, and he moved over to Dragon, and then I chased after him on this mission. And it's often said that it's not when you fly, but with whom you fly, and it worked out super well. And then Oleg came and joined us, and it was complete. This is, again, a great crew, and yeah, Starliner changed a lot in our office. Starliner is really important that we have more opportunities and more capabilities to fly into space, and that's why the Commercial Crew Program is still working hard with Boeing to get Starliner to be a viable transportation system up and down to the space station, and we are wishing them luck.
All right, we'll take our next question with Nikio with NXK.
Hi, thank you for doing this. My question is for Kimya-san. So So you will be welcomed by Japanese astronaut Takuya Onishi-san when you arrive at ISS next month. So can you please talk a little bit about how you plan to carry on his work as a Japanese astronaut? Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the good question. Yeah, I'm very looking forward to actually, meet with him. He's one of my best friends, and also he actually doing great job on orbit. That's actually big pressure for me. Yeah, he actually raised my hurdle. But I just want to continue his like a way to do the job. That way, actually, the ground team will be much easier to continue actually ISS operations. But I'd like to also change a little bit more like I just want to use my ability to consider ground people. Then I hope ground people will like me more than Takuya-san. Probably that's impossible, but I'll try. Thank you.
We'll take our next.
At the news conference continuing live from Kennedy Space Center as the Crew-11 astronauts talk ahead of the mission to the ISS scheduled for later this month. They will be launched aboard a SpaceX Dragon spacecraft on a Falcon 9 rocket from Space Launch Complex 39A. We're going to take a break here on Florida Live, but we'll be right back after this. Welcome back into Florida Live. I'm Garrett Weimer. Thanks for joining us here on this Thursday afternoon on Fox Local and on YouTube. So a couple of Democratic Florida Congress members were back home in Central Florida today, and they were talking about the impact, what they say the impact will be of Trump's big, beautiful bill, specifically talking about the Medicaid, cuts to Medicaid, and their concerns about what it means for people here who they believe will lose health care because of it, and potentially could even lead to local clinics shutting down. And going to hear from Congressman Maxwell Frost first. Here's what he had to say about the impact of these cuts.
We're looking at a bill, this big ugly bill that was passed into law, Donald Trump signed into law, that's going to rip away health care from 17 million Americans. And right now we're here at Orange Blossom, one of our great federally qualified health centers. At these health centers, they're going to see disproportionately people who are on Medicaid and people who are uninsured. And so in many cases, a lot of these clinics, the way they're able to operate is because of programs like Medicaid. And so we came here to speak with the folks who run this one, but also other ones across the district and across Central Florida to know what the impact is going to look like for our people here.
Once hearing their voices, you're going to go back to where you put laws into order and
Yeah.
that type of stuff. Will there be like future things that we can do to help in those situations?
Yeah, the hope is that we can take this information, and this is what our office does all the time. We host roundtables with people directly impacted. We'll hear about their stories, hear about the impact. We take this information, bring it to DC, either write laws or figure out how we can bring back money to help solve the problem. This is a really huge bill, right? 17 million people losing health care. Millions of people, I was just driving over here, I passed by Second Harvest Food Bank. Millions of people are gonna lose their nutritional assistance, food assistance. We're talking about WIC and SNAP. So it's gonna have a devastating impact on our people. And the whole reason they passed this bill is to give billionaires and mega corporations a permanent tax cut. And so, we're here because we need to uplift the stories of how this is gonna impact real people, real everyday people.
What message do you have to Floridians that are going to be affected by this bill?
Yeah, I mean, my message is, number one, our goal, hopefully, is to take back the House at the end of next year. So when we go back to Congress and we're passing another budget, we can use that leverage to help reduce the harm in this bill. I mean, so many people are going to lose their benefits. So many people are going to lose what's keeping them healthy right now. And the fact of the matter is, if you're on Medicaid, most people on Medicaid work. And the people who don't work can't work. Children, seniors, people who are very sick, people with disabilities. And this is a system that's been working. There's always problems, but the fact that they want to take away health care from millions of people just to give a tax cut to people who have enough money, I think is abhorrent. And so I'm honored to be here at Orange Blossom because we're going to be talking about what that impact looks like with the people who do this work day to day, the people who keep Central Florida healthy. And so it's great to be here.
Can you tell me a little bit about
We also heard from Congressman Darren Soto at that event. This was a roundtable discussion at that clinic, the Orange Blossom Family Health, as you heard them talk about. I want to play for you as we were able to speak with Congressman Soto as well and what he said about his concerns.
These healthcare roundtables are absolutely critical. We see Trump's one big ugly law is going to kick nearly 2 million Floridians off of their healthcare. That's the second most in the nation. Folks who get kid care, like our young people, nursing homes, so our seniors are going to face a lot of cuts as well. We also see cuts to Obamacare, and we have the most enrollment of any state. And so this will affect millions of people, and so we need to make sure to elevate their stories. So hopefully we could stop some of this damage next term if we're able to take the majority.
what do you hope comes from the discussions today, or what do you expect?
Hearing numbers like that, nearly 2 million Floridians will lose their health care, sounds awful. But without the stories of each of these individual folks who are affected, it still is unreal to some folks. And so we're going to make sure seniors, children, veterans, the disabled, real Central Floridians who will be hurt by this will have their stories heard, and we need to build popular support to make sure that we can do the things we need to in Washington to protect health care here in Central Florida.
Do you have a message for Floridians that are being impacted by this bill?
Well, it's a law right now.
Oh,
so,
yes, sorry.
Yeah. No problem. It makes a big difference. It's for real now.
Yeah.
For those Central Floridians who potentially can lose their health care under this law, we will fight for you. We will elevate your stories. We will take them to the halls of Congress, and we'll do everything we can. Nearly 2 million people losing their health insurance, second most of any state in the nation, shows that this is code red for Central Florida and for Florida generally. You add in the SNAP cuts, 25% cuts to food assistance across the nation. We have about 15% enrollment in our district, similarly across Central Florida. We can't let kids go hungry in Central Florida either, and so these are the types of issues we're going to be laser focused on.
That was Congressman Soto at that event earlier today in Orlando. We're going to take a break here on Florida Live, but we'll be right back after this, so keep it right here on Fox Local and on YouTube. Welcome back into Florida Live. Give you a live look from our Launch Credit Union camera along Florida's beautiful Space Coast here. And we got some exciting things to talk about here with a new addition, a new attraction at the Kennedy Space Center Visitor Complex. And joining us live now to talk about it is Theron Protze, the Chief Operating Officer at Kennedy Space Center Visitor Complex. And Theron, we really appreciate you joining us this afternoon here on Florida Live.
Excited to be here, Garrett. Thank you.
So talk to us about the gantry. Did a lot of work on this, I know, and it is now open to guests.
Yeah, no, we're really excited. It's actually on Kennedy Space Center is part of the admission and part of the bus tour, but guests are able to unload while they're actually on the center and get a 360 view of all the launch pads. The vehicle assembly building is absolutely amazing sight. And while they're walking around, they get interactives like an engine that simulates fire and launching, and they're able to stand right underneath it. So it's quite the experience. But don't worry, it comes out at 62 degrees. So learning about the nature and the preserve and everything about engineering, it's really, really exciting.
What does this add to the experience there, Theron?
Well, it's able to take guests and have them drop off right in the heart of the Kennedy Space Center, and it really adds that exploration, inspiration. So kids are able to stomp rockets and launch them through an actual gantry that's seen right there, and then learn all about the nature preserve. And then there's a huge piece that we partnered up with NASA. That is the Earth Information Center, which really talks about everything NASA is doing to protect our Earth, the communications through satellites, and they get to learn more and more about all the great research that's going on with NASA and the space industry.
And great views from there as well.
100%. They're absolutely stunning. So we're also offering launch viewing for guests, which gets you about as close as you can safely to a rocket right across from it. So it's going to be a pretty active and fun new addition to the visitor complex.
What's your favorite part about it?
Well, watching the kids smile as that test fire launches and they stand underneath it is super fun. And as they launch those stomp rockets almost 40 feet in the air. So that's probably my favorite piece, is seeing those smiles.
It's certainly a unique kind of element of that, to be able to kind of experience that.
Yeah, absolutely. On that sacred ground of Kennedy Space Center. So, and then the fact that it's a wildlife refuge and they're able to learn about all the great creatures that are walking around here and what we're doing to preserve them as well. So lots to learn, lots to do. And the interesting thing about the wildlife piece, there's alligators and turtles that are kind of mocked up where kids can climb and just have a fun interactive time before they load back on the bus and go see our Apollo Saturn V Center.
You talk to us about what all the Kennedy Space Center Visitor Complex has to offer for those who may not be familiar with it, maybe haven't had the chance to come out there, because there really is a lot going on and a lot to check out.
Yeah, you said that 100% correctly. Well, we're all about telling the NASA story and everything going on with space. So as they visit the visitor complex, the one thing that we are right on the Kennedy Space Center, and we are an active spaceport. So, with launches that are going to be well over 100, here very soon and probably pushing 200, there is always something happening at the Kennedy Space Center. But the visitor complex is all about that storytelling piece of it. But we try to do it in a very fun and interactive way. So as they get here, it's not a museum. It's really, they get to see amazing rockets. We are the real deal here. So everything they see is real. So we allow them to come and explore and discover those real artifacts that are here, but then able to see the shuttle up close, able to then go on the shuttle launch experience and what it's like to launch on the shuttle, go to spaceport and see a SpaceX booster that's actually flight flown, as well as the Orion, and some of the other great ingenuity that's going on that's new and next for NASA and the space industry, and then go in the spaceport and travel through space. So there's a lots to do, lots to see, and lots to learn here that hopefully inspires that next generation and really and captures the essence of what we're trying to do for the space program.
Yeah, because you talk about the number of launches that we have seen just increase. I mean, this is a huge industry, and it seems like no sign of slowing down, really, with the dedication to seeing more launches, more commercial launches, visions of going to Mars. I mean, so when you're talking about these, a lot of these kids coming in and experiencing this, it's not just for fun. I mean, that it really is the next generation of these industry workers and others who could fall in love with this.
No, you're absolutely right, and that is really our goal. And our public outreach is really focused on that. So, and then to your point, not only kids, but young adults, and just learning about everything that's happening, because there's so many people that sometimes forget that the International Space Station is flying over us. So, really educating them on all the work that they're doing, but then coming to see probably an actual launch, and then looking right next to a rocket that looks just like the one they saw, really inspiring. And then to your point, not just astronauts. So, we have botany programs, we have all sorts of we're showcasing a lot of what NASA is doing for the field. So there's so many resources and careers that they can head on into. We're really hoping that we can grow our Space Coast, because it is, to your point, being the Silicon Valley of space here very quickly.
What's the bottom line here, Darren? What do you want people to know?
Come out and see us. It is a full day, and it is a day that you'll be able to see some of the amazing ingenuity that's happened in the past, present, and future. And come here to have fun and learn. And we want to give you the best experience possible. So hope you give us a chance to come out and see us, because there's something new happening in Kennedy on a consistent basis. And we're going to continue to evolve and grow as much as the space program is growing. So come out and see us.
And just another thing to see now with the new gantry.
Absolutely. And we got all sorts of after-hour events with the Kennedy Under the Stars coming out. So keep on our website and learn about some of the really cool exclusive events we have coming out that are fun and very, very much engaging.
Darren Protze, COO of the Kennedy Space Center Visitor Complex. Really appreciate you joining us this afternoon.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Welcome back into Florida Live. I'm Garrett Weimer, and thanks for joining us on this Thursday afternoon, live on Fox Local and on YouTube. It has been a busy hour, just about hour with you here, but we still have a few more minutes with you and some more things we want to cover. We're going to go down to South Florida, along Florida's Gold Coast, and earlier this week, the mayor of the city of Pompano Beach gave the key to the city to a Florida rapper, Bill Capri, also known, you probably know him as Kodak Black. Now, he had several run-ins with the law before, including a conviction back in 2019 on a federal weapons charge. But after this, Kodak Black is donating air conditioning units to families in public housing. He has given Christmas gifts to families in need. He's paid the rent of more than 200 families in the city of Pompano Beach. And during this, at the meeting, he acknowledged his past and the issues that he had previously, but also talked about the importance of moving past that and trying to be better. So really cool event. You're going to hear from Kodak Black and also the mayor of the city of Pompano Beach, Rex Harden. This is from a city commission meeting earlier this week.
This is a key to the city to be presented to Kodak Black. All right. I stand before you today to recognize one of Pompano Beach's own, an individual whose journey from these very streets to international acclaim has been remarkable, but whose heart has never left this community. Today, we're not here to only celebrate the commercial success of Bill Capri, better known to the world as the artist Kodak Black. Yeah. But more importantly, to acknowledge the impact he continues to make right here at home. Kodak, your music may have reached millions around the world, but your generosity has touched thousands right here in Pompano Beach. Whether it's providing air conditioning systems to families in need during sweltering summers, delivering hundreds of turkeys during the holidays, gifting Christmas presents and bikes to children, or paying rent for over 200 struggling families. Twice. Your actions speak volumes about the kind of man you have become. You've shown us that giving back isn't about fanfare, it's about your heart. You've used your platform to not just rise, but to lift others along the way. In looking back at past recipients of the Key to the City, like football great quarterback Lamar Jackson, or Olympic swimmer and record holder Jesse Vasayo, and even community activist Miss Jeanette Copeland, they all share a common theme of giving back to our community in their own way. And so, on behalf of the city of Pompano Beach, I present you with this Key to the City, a symbol of our appreciation and recognition for your unwavering commitment to this community. Congratulations, Kodak Black.
Man, so much I want to say. Well, I don't want words to get in the way. Thank you for the birthday wish. I saw it. I saw the video. That was special. It was special. And I appreciate you for everything. And we was at the building across the street like a few weeks ago, and they brought it up to me. I said, no, please, I don't want it. I swear to God, no, don't give. I swear to God, this is not what I do anything for. I was like, please, I don't want the spotlight. They gave it to me anyway. God, Yahweh, get all the glory. I'm nothing. And thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. God bless everyone. Yeah. Elders. God bless all the elders. God bless all the elderlies in here. Hell yeah. Father Alicia, she run track. My little cousin, she gas.
So pretty cool moment at that meeting earlier this week in the city of Pompano Beach, as the mayor gave the key to the city to Kodak Black, and acknowledging really all the good that he has done in that community. Pretty neat moment there. Well, we are just about out of time here on Florida Live. One story that we didn't get to is another pretty neat one. Let me just kind of show you a little bit of the video here. Earlier today, the Clearwater Marine Aquarium introduced us to 4 recently rescued dolphins. They are rough-toothed dolphins, which is a pretty rare species, only a few thousand of them in U.S. waters, and most of them near Hawaii, according to officials. Some of them also deep in the Gulf as well. 4 of these dolphins recently rescued. 3 of them are deaf. Their names are Doris, Katana, Dagny, and Ren, being taken care of at the Clearwater Marine Aquarium. Pretty cool stuff there. If you'd like to watch this video, you can find more coverage of it on our Fox 35 News Plus tab on Fox Local Orlando, also on fox35orlando.com. We had this story for you earlier today, but you can see the dolphins having fun in the background, really adjusting to their new surroundings, doing a lot better. They talk about the kind of the dangers, especially for those deaf dolphins and the struggles that they face in the wild. So interesting to hear them talk about that. If you'd like to watch that video, we have that online for you right now. That's going to do it for us here on Florida Live this afternoon. We appreciate you joining us live on Fox Local and on YouTube. We are here weekdays at 2 o'clock with an hour of Florida Live. So we appreciate you joining us. As we wrap up our coverage today, going to leave you with this view along our Space Coast once again, since we had a couple of fun space stories there today. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thursday afternoon live on Fox Local and on YouTube. I want to let you know some of what we have coming up ahead of us here on this next hour together at Florida Live. I've got a couple of space stories in this hour. In fact, expecting any minute now to hear from some of the NASA astronauts, a Japanese astronaut and a Russian cosmonaut speaking ahead of the Crew-11 launch scheduled for later this month. They will be beginning a news conference at Kennedy Space Center coming up in just a little bit. We're also have a live interview scheduled for later this hour with